I've been studying personal finance for over 12 years. And applying what I learned, I went from having no money after college to having a net worth of $400,000 in just 4 years while working a 9-to-5 job. And now that I am 28, I am financially free and living the life I dreamed of. But I don't want you to wait 12 years or more to maybe learn how to grow your money. This is why I spent the last month condensing everything I've learned in this video. We will go through all the important aspects of your financial life, from how to manage and invest your money, to how to increase your income and the impact of your personal relations, as well as buying a house and much more. Everything is important and will make a huge difference in you growing your net worth. But if you can't sit and invest some time to listen to this knowledge I have to share with you for free, I am afraid you're not going to make it. But if you are willing to do it, it means you already have part of the right mindset. And this is actually what helped me the most in my life to succeed financially. Without the correct mindset, I would have never landed a high-paying job, nor I would make tens of thousands of dollars from investments every year. And believe me, during my journey, I had to improve a lot in my mindset to reach my objectives. In the beginning of my journey, I had a poor mentality. I always thought I wanted a lot of money because, well, who wouldn't like to have $100 million in their bank account? But then I realized that this is not the correct way to see things. Money in itself is worthless. It serves nothing just having millions sitting in the bank. But it has a lot of value as a mean, if it is used to fulfill something. This is why you have to see money as a tool, not as a goal. It is just the mean to obtain what you want. And let's be clear, everyone's final objective is to be happy, to feel good with ourselves. Money has to be a consequence of your needs, not the opposite. And this directly leads to the second important point of this section. Because without it, you don't know where you're going. It would be like taking a flight without knowing the destination. And just a couple of years ago, I was struggling with this, because I didn't know what I really wanted from my life. I knew I wanted to be successful, but what does this mean? Does it mean being the CEO of a big company? Does it mean to have my own business? Or just having a job that allows me to live well? I couldn't answer to that. But now I can. I clearly know where I want to go, and this totally changes my finances, because it changes how much money I need to live the life of my dreams. And this is why you too have to understand what you really want. And once you can answer to that, you have to build your finances so that it can support your dream life. And since we're still talking about mentality, I must talk about the money games you can choose to play. And if you want to improve your finances, you have to choose if you want to play the status game, where you spend your money to impress the others, or the wealth game, where you spend your money to generate value. You're smart enough to understand which is the game you want to play. Now, if you really want to improve your mentality and approach to money, you definitely have to follow this advice. It completely changed my vision of money and definitely had an incredible impact in my life. Because now imagine that you are a basketball fan. You watch all matches, but there is no commentary and no one with which you can talk about it. Do you think that you can become an expert of basketball this way? I would say probably not, because you're missing out on a lot of experience from other people. And the same it is for money. If you don't talk about money with people, you will never learn from the others' mistakes. You will never learn how to do better, how to do as successful people. So please help me breaking this taboo that exists in the whole world, and when you finish this video, go talk to someone about money, or just write something down in the comments. Now, there is something that 99% of the people underestimate, and I am also including financial advisors and self-proclaimed money experts. It has an impact that is just enormous, and it can completely change your finances. I already know too many people that got their lives ruined because of that, and I don't want this to happen to you. What I want to share with you now is the importance of the people which are close to you, of your relations. There's a famous quote saying, "You are the average of your 5 closest friends." And this is very true. I've lived that myself. During my college years, I had some friends that were always spending a lot of money to party, and I was following them. Not because I did not care about money, but because I felt it was okay to spend it like this, since everyone was doing the same. But it wasn't. I was definitely spending too much money on parties, but I wasn't able to realize it. I only understood that when I started going out with other people. And at this moment I told myself what an idiot I was throwing away money like this. All of this to say something very simple. Be careful about the habits of the people which are close to you, because they will definitely impact you. But there's actually one relation which could be even more impactful. And I am lucky because it has never been a problem for me. But talking with friends and colleagues, I understand that this is a huge issue for many, probably the most impactful one. And this is why you have to solve it as soon as you can. I am clearly talking about the relationship with your partner, if you have one. You absolutely need to have an open discussion about money together. And this will not only help you have a better financial life, but also to have a better relationship. Too many keep everything secret. Too many just never talk about money and financial goals during their whole relationship. But this is a huge error. You have to know if you're going in the same direction or if there is something that has to be aligned. If you don't, your finances will never work, nor your relation will. Now I want to tell you a little story about a colleague of mine. So, he had a job for which he was earning an average salary. He was living a good life with his family and he was a happy person. But then one day, he had a car accident. He had an accident where he broke most of his shoulder and he had to get through a difficult surgery. So, fortunately, since it was an accident, the company's insurance paid for the surgery. However, he needed a lot of physiotherapy to recover the mobility and the full functionality of the shoulder. And it is at this moment that he realized that the insurance wasn't going to pay the physiotherapy in full. And so, from one day to the other one, he found himself struggling with his money. He was already spending most of his salary for rent, general expenses, and yes, also some fun. Basically, he was spending his money as everybody does. In the end, he didn't really have much left to put towards the physiotherapy, and so he had to renounce to some of these expenses. But then it got even worse, because for several reasons which are not important now, he wasn't receiving his salary anymore. So even if he wanted to allocate some money to physiotherapy, he didn't have any money to use. He had to start asking money to friends and family, not only for the recovery, but also to pay groceries and the rent. I spoke to him a couple of times during this period, and I can tell you, he was psychologically destroyed. He was afraid he would lose his apartment and that he would not be able to feed his daughter and wife. The situation was really dramatic, and no one should ever find himself in this state. So this is why you always have to be ready to whatever might happen. And that's not even a pillar of your finances, it is the foundation of all your money. Because if you don't want to be in the same situation, you must always have an emergency fund of at least 6 months of expenses. Many say 3 months is fine, but to be honest, if you get injured as my colleague, you may need additional money for much more than 3 months. And this is why you have to start saving money as soon as you can. Even if you're still at college, save your money. Sure, you also have to have fun, you have to live your life, but save money, because if you don't, shit will happen at some point of your life, and you have to be ready for it. And honestly, there is a very simple way to do that. Actually, it is not even simple, it is automatic. You don't have to do anything to save money every month, because if you set an automatic payment to your savings account, every month, as soon as you receive your paycheck, you will save money. Like this, you don't even have to think about it. It will just happen by itself. Because remember, you always have to pay yourself first and only then the rest. This is how you accumulate money. But now, an interesting question. How much should you save every month? Well, it will surely depend on your financial situation. But I use a framework to organize how I use my money that can actually help you do that. So basically, I separate how I use my money into 4 categories. Number 1, fixed expenses. Most of the time, this represents most of the expenses anyone has to face. In this category, we can find rent, groceries, and bills in general. And using this framework, you should budget 50 to 60% of your income towards it. Clearly, rent will eat most of it, but if you stick to this rate, and you have to, if you want to be financially successful, you can use the rest of your money to drastically grow your net worth. Number 2, savings. Because as I was saying, you must save. There is no way around it if you want to have money. You have to do it, and this is why you should allocate at least 15% of your income to it. And making it automatic, it will be super easy. You will not even notice that it is gone from your bank account. Number 3, investing. If saving is important to be financially sure, if you want to grow your net worth, you have to invest your money. Because maybe in the beginning of your investments, the overall return will be small. But as we'll see later on in this video, over the time it will definitely become your first source of income. So allocate also for this category at least 15%. Number 4, it is actually the category that no one has ever told you. It is the category which will make everything easier for you and that will let you enjoy your life. Because let's be serious, if you are only saving and investing without ever spending a penny for yourself, you won't be happy. It's normal. And you have to be able to enjoy your life or you will continue suffering for money, even if you're rich. This is why you absolutely have to allocate around 15% of your income in guilt-free spending. This means that you have part of your income which is exclusively dedicated to you enjoying your life and doing what you love. Like this, it will get much easier to be happy while also saving and investing more. Clearly, these are approximate numbers. For example, between savings and investing, I am at 50%, have 25% for fixed costs and 25% for guilt-free spending. This is just a general guideline that should work, but you also have to evaluate and potentially adapt it by yourself. And so, since we're already in the topic, let's talk a little more about spending. Because obviously, if you spend more, you will save and invest less. I was doing that. I was struggling with my investments. But there's one single thing that helped me solve this problem. And this was tracking my expenses every month. This allowed me to understand if I was spending my money correctly or not. And using my 4-category framework, it just gets super fast to do it. You just need 10 minutes per month. And believe me, especially the first times you will do it, you will understand so much about why you're struggling with your money that you will ask yourself how you've managed to live like this. And just this understanding will save you hundreds of dollars every month. You will also understand by yourself that there is one only thing that matters when you talk about spending. And if you do that, you are definitely going to be able to have more money. So just spend less than you earn. It's very simple and logic, but basically no one does that. And not doing that most of the time leads to the use of credit cards. Because obviously, if you spend more than you earn, you can't afford what you want to buy. Using credit cards, you can postpone the payment and still buy what you want. And this is why almost half of the Americans have credit card debt, which is one of the worst things you could have. Just imagine that in average, the interest rate of credit cards is of about 27%, which is enormous. So if you get credit card debt, you're just paying more for everything you buy. This is why you absolutely have to avoid debt, and if you already have some, you have to get out of it as soon as you can. So use the 15% of your investment category to pay off debt, and after that, start investing. And by the way, always pay the full credit card balance. Just paying the minimum will only increase your debt. There's also a little rule that helped me a lot with reducing my expenses. Just thanks to that, I started spending an average $561 less per month. And if you feel like sometimes you buy stuff impulsively, this will have a huge impact on your money. So imagine you are tempted to buy something like a new pair of shoes. Now don't buy them and just write on a note on your phone that you would like them so that you will not forget about it. Then wait 30 days and at this point ask yourself, do I really want to buy them? Do I really need them? If you say yes, cool, go for it. But if you say no, don't. Giving yourself some time helps you remove the impulsiveness. It will allow you to see more clearly whether you need this pair of shoes or not. And just by doing that, you will realize that most of the time you are impulsively buying stuff which you don't need. Doing all of that will already rapidly increase your net worth and you will feel much better about your finances. But here comes a trap which impacts most of the high earners. I know people earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per year which can't save money. They spend everything they earn, and so their net worth is still super low. The cause of that is what we call lifestyle inflation. Basically, when you start earning more or having more in the bank, you feel like you can spend more. But this becomes a vicious cycle which makes you spend more, and in the end, it leaves you with no money. So if you're improving your finances, don't fall in the lifestyle inflation trap. It is not because your net worth doubled that you have to spend the double of the money. Now, I want to talk to you about my favorite subject. It allows me to earn much more than I just could with my salary, and it will make me a millionaire in just a few more years. And clearly, it can do the same for you. This is why you have to start with that as soon as you can. Even just 1 year can make a huge difference. Probably you got it, I am talking about investing. And so the first thing I want to show you is why you should start investing as soon as possible. Imagine now you are 25, you've started working and you're even putting aside some money, but you don't know how to invest, or maybe you're just afraid of it, so you don't. But then time passes and when you're 30 you decide to invest so that you will have more money once you will retire. You invest $200 per month in the Standard & Poor's 500 ETF and you see it grow. But then you ask yourself, what if I had started when I was 25? Would it make a difference? Well, yes, because imagine you retire when you're 60 in both cases. Starting investing at 30 will leave you with $616,000, which is a great sum. But if you had started just 5 years before, you would have more than $1.1 million. That's $500,000 more. And this is just 5 years of investing more. This is why it is often said that the best moment to start investing was yesterday. The second best one is today. So now you know that you have to start investing today. But why does it make such a difference? The answer is very simple. It is because there is what I call my best friend, compound interest. Its function is very simple. The more you keep your money invested, the more it will grow every year, and will do it at an exponential rate. Let's see this together in this chart. So in the beginning, you can see that the principal is much higher than the interest earned. But over the time, the principal grows at the same speed, $200 per month, whereas the interest grows faster and faster. This to the point that just during the 30th year, you would earn more than $100,000 from the investment, while only adding $2,400. To that, you also have to add the fact that as long as you don't close your investment, you don't have to pay taxes on your profit, as it's considered unrealized, and so you will pay taxes only when you will close your position. But that's not the only great thing, because the tax you will be paying is not the same you are paying every year. It is the long-term investment tax, which is much lower. This depends on your country, and it goes from 0 to 26% in average. Okay, now you really know why you have to start investing now, but you don't know how. It might feel difficult and risky, but it actually isn't. You can make a lot of money by making very simple investments and just spending 5 minutes per month on them. And imagine that with this strategy, you will beat 90% of the professionals. Because if you invest in a simple and general ETF like VOO, which replicates the Standard & Poor's 500 index, you will get a portfolio which is well diversified and only owning great companies. This way, your portfolio will grow for sure over the medium-long term, which means at least 5 years. Imagine that in average, since its inception in 1913, the Standard & Poor's 500 has grown at an average rate of 10% and 12% over the last 10 years. So now you know why you should invest, as well as in what you should invest. The important thing you have to remember now is that you can't predict the market in the short term. No one can, not even Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time. This is why studies show that the best strategy is to regularly invest every month once you receive your paycheck. This way, you will absorb any potential fluctuation over the short term, and you will have the best results possible over the long term. You see, it is not difficult to invest properly. But still, you have 2 traps that could ruin you even if you do everything else correctly. The first one is extremely tempting. Even after years of investing, I still feel the temptation. But rationally, it doesn't make any sense. This is why you should never follow trends. If there is a trend about a specific stock, it means that people are speculating on it, and so that you're not really investing in the company, but you're rather betting that people will continue buying this stock for some time. So if you're lucky, you can make money, but if you're not, you can lose all of your money. So don't do that, it is incredibly risky. The second trap is the worst dream of most people. Because of it, many people went bankrupt, and if you fall in this trap, you will too. I am talking about financial crisis, but it is not a trap in the way you think. Because a financial crisis is just one of the best ways to make a lot of money in a short time. Why that? People start selling their investments during crisis because they are afraid to lose money. This means that the whole stock market goes down. But the reality is that in just a couple of years, every crisis that has ever happened has recovered and even went above the previous prices. This means that if you buy stocks during the crisis, instead of selling the ones you already have, you will make a huge amount of money in a very short time. So really, never sell your investments during a crisis and think about putting even more money in the market. You will get out of it way above than you were before. So I think this is more or less everything really important about investing. There's actually also a type of investment which people really like, real estate. So if you would like to invest in it, I already stop you. It is difficult. If you don't have the skills and the knowledge to do it, don't. You're not gonna make it. And secondly, if you think that buying your own house is an investment, I'm sorry to tell you that this is a lie you've been told to. And the reason why is very simple. If it is your house, you are going to live in it. You're not going to wait it to grow and just sell it. This means that even if the price of your house grows, you will not sell it. And even if you sell it, the growth rate of real estate is extremely low compared to the stock market. Then, when you buy a house, you have a lot of costs, which are most of the time underestimated. This means that more often than you think, your house is a liability. This is why real estate investors mostly buy, structure, and sell houses. They don't keep them for a long period. So, except you are an expert of the sector and you know what you are doing, forget about investing in real estate. However, you rightfully still want to buy a house to live in. And to do that, you have to be very careful, because it is one of the main reasons people struggle with money. The first thing you really have to be careful is the interest rate of your mortgage. Sure, you already know that it has to be as low as possible, but I think it is even more important to take a mortgage with a fixed rate. This is because if you take a 30-year mortgage, you have absolutely no idea of how the rates will move in the future. You might find yourself in a situation like during COVID, or the rates were at more than 7%, and you are just going to be unable to pay for your house, which means that the bank takes it back and you lose everything. So going for a fixed rate is a much safer solution to buy a house and really manage to buy it. But what if I told you that sometimes buying a house is worse than renting? This is often the case because you can earn much more money by investing instead of putting the same money for the down payment and paying the mortgage. Sure, this is totally dependent on how much rent you pay and what return you have on your investments. And so every case is different. This is why I have made a simple free calculator that helps you understand what you should do in your specific situation. You can find the link in the description. There's also another misconception around mortgages, which is very important. And if you don't listen to what I'm going to tell you now, you will probably lose your house to the bank. A bank will always offer you a mortgage which is much higher than what you can really afford. This is because the risk for them on a mortgage of $500,000 is nothing, since they manage billions and whatever happens, they can still take your house and sell it back. But for you it is not the same, your risk is just enormous in such a situation, and you have to be sure to be able to pay for the house. Otherwise, you will end up without the house and still in debt for it. This is why I've also developed a free tool that helps you understand how much you can afford to spend for your house. Like this, you will commit to something that you will manage to pay in full. Now tell me, do you want to increase your main income? After college, I started working for a Standard & Poor's 500 company as a graduate engineer. And now I manage part of one of its factories, which also means a much higher salary. So over these 4 years, I learned a lot, and everything I did is totally replicable by anyone. And the greatest advice I can give in these terms is that even if you are doing a technical job, your approach and attitude is the most important aspect that will let you increase your salary. Again, your mentality changes everything. If you want to succeed and increase your salary, you must be curious to learn new things. You must be open to receive feedback to improve yourself. And you must be humble enough to understand that you're still missing something to advance in your career. As a manager in a competitive environment, you search for people that face challenges, that empower their teams and colleagues. You want someone that can have an impact on the organization. And this is why, even though for some jobs it is important, the technical skills come in second place. Now, let's say you don't earn a lot. It is fine. If you apply everything I am discussing in this video, you will end up well financially. But clearly, the more you earn, the easier everything becomes. This is why you have to be ready to change job and even career. Ideally, you should search for a high-income job which, at the same time, makes you feel good. Because remember, a job, as also money, is just a tool. And it is used to have a great salary if at the end of the day you feel miserable. So if you want to have a high income, learn how to sell yourself. Otherwise, you will never be chosen. Because just your technical skills and knowledge will not bring you anywhere. You have to be able to show the results and the impact you had in your previous positions, as well as the impact you will have in the future. And you already have to do it in both the CV and the cover letter. This will put you way ahead of any other candidate. All these skills will allow you to negotiate for a new position or for a higher income. And by showing the results and the impact you delivered, you will be the one holding the knife. So we're getting to the end, and this is why now I want to talk about your future. Because yes, your future has a huge impact on your finances. If you don't plan correctly your life, you will end up without any money for your retirement. This is how important financial planning is. And especially, there are 5 major life events for which it is vital to plan as soon as you can. The first event you have to be careful to is marriage. Weddings are super expensive nowadays, and it has a huge impact on people's life. Secondly, the most common consequence of a marriage are kids, and for how cute they are also extremely expensive. Imagine that to raise a child in the US from age 0 to 17, it costs in average $310,000. Then, as we already discussed, you have to plan for buying a house. The fourth event to consider is the most long-term one, and because of this, too often overlooked: retirement. Remember that if you don't start planning soon your retirement plan, it will be too late, and you will end up as 61% of the Americans who don't have enough money to retire. Finally, you might have some other goals. Maybe you want to do a 1-year trip in Asia as me, or maybe you want to buy a vacation house. The principle is the same. Plan for these expenses. And well, how do you plan for them? It is super simple. See how much of your budget you can allocate to all of these things. You will have to see how it will impact your lifestyle in the future. So if you will manage to save enough money for it. For example, you might see that having a kid will increase your expenses by $1,000 per month. Can you afford that? If yes, great. If not, it means you will have to change something in your life. You will probably have to reduce your expenses or increase your income. All of this is important because if you don't plan for these expenses, you will end up struggling to reach the end of the month for your whole life. We are now at the end of the video, and there is still one last life-changing advice I want to share with you. But firstly, I want to thank you for watching the video until the end. It's a long one, I've spent a lot of time preparing it. I really hope it will help your finances and live a better life. And if you want to improve even more your finances and live the life of your dreams, you can subscribe to this channel. Because the last advice I have for you is to continuously learn. Here you would learn more about personal finance, but it's not the only thing to learn. There's a ton of stuff to learn, and all of it can help you improve your life. We live in a system which tells that you learn during school and then you just work. But that's not true, because those that succeed in life are those that continuously learn, and so if you want to be successful, you have to do the same. Thanks for watching and see you soon.